project we're going to do today is to install a Supersprint exhaust on this 650i. Supersprint makes two systems. They make a single outlet system that utilizes the factory bumper openings, which is the simplest install. Then they make a quad tip system to make the car look similar to an M6. So what we've got to do when we put in the quad tip system is we're going to have to open this opening just a slight bit. And what we're going to do is show you how to do that. First, we're going to take a road test and see what the exhaust sounds with the stock system on the car. So here's the components that we're going to install on this 650i. Starting from the front, we've got a complete system that attaches to the catalytic converters right at the base of the downpipes. And what we're going to do is we're going to install these pieces, which are all mandrel bent tubes, into the Supersprint X pipe, which then connect to the rear mufflers. Now the factory system is a one-piece unit. There's also a huge difference in tubing diameter on the factory piece versus the Supersprint pieces. This entire system is 60mm tubing from front to rear. What the factory does is right in the center section right here where they have a resonator set, that resonator set, after the resonator, it goes down to 55mm. That's a 5mm decrease in tubing diameter, which is this difference right here. That difference is a 19% decrease in volume flow. So just in tubing diameter alone behind the resonator, you've got that much of a restriction. Now let's go to the back of the system right here. These are the Supersprint rear mufflers, all 100% stainless steel. Some of the features are that you've got adjustable mounts, so you have a lot of adjustability. Both mounts are adjustable. They have up and down mount adjustments, and if you need to, they can be tweaked a little bit. If you're only installing rear mufflers, you'll get a set of reducers that allow the 60mm tubes to go down to the 55. That's only if you're going to do the rear mufflers onto a factory system. These tubes wouldn't be used if you're going to put a full system on it like we are here. Going forward, the Supersprint X pipe eliminates the resonator set in the system. It has a better flow characteristic because it also helps the scavenging of the engine. It blends the engine banks, the cylinder banks up front, makes for smoother running, and creates more of a Venturi effect to draw each bank of exhaust out of the vehicle. In front of the X pipe, you've got two down pipes, all mandrel bent stainless steel tubes that bolt directly up to the catalytic converters. In a minute, we're going to go to the shop, we're going to review what's on the factory car, and then we'll see the differences. Okay, here we are underneath the car, and here's the procedure on how to remove this exhaust system. We're going to take this off in one piece, from the rear all the way up front to the base of the catalytic converters. Now the parts that you've got to remove, there's a bracket assembly at the rear. I recommend taking the bracket along with the rubber mounts and everything. That'll allow you to take everything down to the ground and transfer it on the ground. You've got two mounts on the back. You come up front right next to the sway bar, you've got two more mounts. They all have 13mm nuts to remove, so it'll be two on each. Then we're going to move forward just a little bit, and there's some rubber mounts right here, and that mount you're going to leave on the body. And what you'll do is you'll just take a pry bar and pry this away, and it'll typically come right off the hanger. As we move forward, there's a cross brace that we have to remove that keeps the exhaust from coming out. And just as you get in front of these resonators, what you're going to do is you're going to notice there's a crossbar that ties the two downpipes together. You're going to remove that crossbar, remove these two 13mm nuts, and leave the crossbar in position. Then what you're going to do is undo the two 13mm nuts that hold it to the catalytic converters on each side. You'll undo those. Now use WD-40 on all these fasteners that could have potential rust and stuff. You'll loosen those, get a friend to help you, and then what you're going to do is lift the whole unit off and down in one piece. And that's as simple as it is. Here we are underneath the vehicle. We've got the Supersprint just roughly mounted into its position. If you look up here at the hangers, we've got the rear hanger aligned with the hanger in the vehicle, but it won't fit obviously because the tips can't go into the bumper cavity. So we've got all the hangers supported right in their position, ready to go up. So now we're going to look at the back of the car to get our tip cuts centered up. So here we are at the back of the car. I've already taped it off. Now this is going to be a rough cut. We're going to try to get this cut here so we can maintain the same angle as this tailpipe tip. I'm going to cut on the inside line here because it's always easier to go back and trim it a little bit more than it is to back up. You can't back up on this thing, then you're painting the thing all over again. So what we're going to do is we're going to maintain all of this surface here for right now. We're going to do a rough cut right here, and then what we're going to do is move the muffler up into the body cavity so we can get our hangers adjusted. Once we get our hangers in place, that's where we'll make a line for our final cut to smooth it out for the body. Now you got to remember, this right here is a view that most people aren't going to have. When you're completed with the project, you're going to be looking down. So you want to make all your cuts, you want to make them so they're all slightly angled downward with the tool so you can actually maintain a nice sharp line. So let's get the project going and we'll see how it goes. Okay, the tool we're going to use here is an air-powered die grinder with a fiber disc in it. It'll cut through this plastic pretty quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay well inside of this line, the second line, so we have plenty of room to do any corrections that we need to do. What I'm basically going to do first is kind of start from the bottom, and I'll start up here, and I'm going to just diagonally start in here, and I'm going to have to come across here at some point to take the piece out. So here we go. Okay, that's our start. Now what we're going to do is stick the muffler up in there. Okay, so here's one side already finished. What we essentially did is we had the tape that marked it off. We used a sanding bit on the end of our die grinder so we can round the corners real nicely. We've actually only trimmed from here to about the middle, and after that it's the factory opening. So what we've got going on there now is we've got enough room for both tips to peek through. We can see the logos. We've got enough tips sticking out to where you can see the difference, and it looks pretty good. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll do the other side over there. Okay, here's our finished product. We cut the openings for the tailpipe, so we got quad tip exhaust on the car, and now we're going to go for a road test and see how it sounds.